Okay, I think the stream is starting right now. I'm just gonna whiz through the reviews for today. Good evening, good evening. This week's weekly art challenge topic was a train ride going home, and I had 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 posts. So, starting from top, number 1, as always, Liana. This is really good. 19 points. That's a lot of points. Now the reason I gave 19 points, 4 points for knowledge and 4 points for context, is because of the amount of detail which you have to have research in order to get in your work. For example, like a warning sign, don't get your hands between the doors. These what do you call it? Like map of stations, ads, the small like details of the things that people wear, shoes, and just bicycles, different kind of shoes. Also, for the context, you could tell that there's like a demon figure in the back, and this girl is the only human being that's kind of noticing the demon. You could kind of tell that because other people have black shadows, but then this character doesn't have any shadows. Also, the dog can kind of see this demon figure, but this old lady doesn't seem to see her. So that's where the context. 4 points for the context is where it's not just the demon there, but you could tell that other people can't see it except for the dog. Things I would like to say about this. Good morning. Was I saying to be so soon? I could. It was better for me to do it today than tomorrow. Just my schedule wise. Some things I had concern was the eye level would be around here. Connecting the lines. So this man's belt, I mean, he could be tilting a little bit like this, but still, maybe the belt should have been a little bit more this way. And it looks like you crammed the head inside the frame. Like, it somewhere around here doesn't look really natural. It looks like you it could have been somewhere here, but then since the frame was there, the frame made the head go inward. It looks like the frame made a gravitational pull inside. That's what else? The phone she's holding. If you connect the lines, kind of doesn't look like she's holding it. I mean, maybe, I don't know, like that. Maybe so maybe make the hands more a little bit. I mean, when people are holding things, the pinky tends to not bend at the same as the ring finger. So that's one thing. Keep the pinky a little bit not bended most of the time. Would be not all the time, but sometimes it could be make it more natural. If that's one thing you could do to make it look more natural, but it would become awkward if you do it all the time. Another thing is the pole here. It looks like what you did was you made a square that goes with the perspective and try to make a circle inside the square, so that the square is kind of going with the perspective, but I'd say don't get carried off too much about perspective when you're drawing like circle stuff. It would make it look really weird like this. I mean, it looks like it's pulled to the left side. Well, that's about it. Great observations. Thank you. I'm doing good. Okay, for second place, I think I got the Soul Artist. I think Soul Artist had a lot of did a lot in color, but I think this maybe not the first time, but one of the least times he did in black and white. And this one is done really in a simplistic style, so I have 4 points for completion since it's in a simplistic style, and then you don't really need too much detail in a simplistic style. Although there are some parts that could be better. By the way, there isn't too much people who had 4 points for theme this time, because the theme was that it was a train ride going home, and a lot of people drew trains and they're riding it, but you can't really tell if it's a train ride home or not. But this one, it's pretty much a train ride going home. The guy is like, he worked late and he's tired and ready to go home. It looks like it doesn't look like he's ready to go to work. It looks like he's ready to go home. So that's why you got 4 points for theme. Now, what I did here was it didn't look like you were that confident on the folds of the shirt and the pants that he's wearing. It might have been better if it was all in gray tone instead of lines when you're doing it in this kind of style. Also, maybe you could have had some reflections on the floor. You also... Now, I understand that it's all like it's intentionally flat. The art style is intentionally flat, but still, maybe you might want some perspective. Perspective becomes really, really important when something there's not much depth to it. If you had to work like in a really tight depth, perspective is really important. It gets more important. I made the background a little bit more darker so they could tell it's nighttime. I mean, he could have been working till the morning and the sun's already up, but I just wanted to emphasize that he's going home. So I made it dark. Added some city lights, and then I added some lights inside the train car. What else did I do? The original one, I think this is just it just didn't color the ties, but it looks like the tie is like I don't know. Yeah, I think you forgot to color the ties here. And I wasn't sure if this was supposed to be like a unzipped zipper or a not colored space or something. I just couldn't tell. But overall, it was really good. Since you did it in a simplistic format. Now, maybe you can't do this format or art style with every other thing. You have to be. Yeah, I don't think you have that much freedom to do other kinds of work in this style yet. So it worked really good on this one, but You have to be careful if you're doing others. Okay, number 3, my Soka. This one is like a horror fantasy train. This one was pretty hard to review. Now, for example, Next Stop Hell. It says Next Stop Hell, which is out of the frame. I assume it's out of frame intentionally so that you could kind of tell you could kind of read it, but you don't really want to read it. You don't want to make it too obvious. There's also a dead body here, which is which is off the frame also, but that's intentional too, because you don't really want to make that obvious too. But since the hand is being stepped on here, you could kind of see the blood, but you can't really see the arm that easily. You have to, even though it's intentionally not visible enough, it's unintentionally not visible at the same time. So there's a couple of things you could do also. Since there's a very strong red light outside, I want that red light to interfere with the lights inside too. And so what I did was make it like this. I made the light a little bit more. I made the light more interfering with the reflecting inside also. Now that might not happen since this is all, kind of fantasy horror I made the blood a little bit more easy to understand. And I also made the handprints a little bit more revealing, I guess is the word. Instead of this, now I mean, this is good, but maybe it would have been better if it's a little bit more easy to understand. Also, he's folding his legs like this. But if you have your other leg in front of your knee, your leg would probably slip down. I think I went too far with imagination. Really, visible might be the word. Does he get to have to draw along with his arm crossed all the time? No. Yeah. His knee. If you try to do this, your legs would start to hurt, I guess. So I made the leg on over the knee so that it stays there, and I made the red light reflect so that you could tell what parts of his bodies are sticking out.
Your right X.
Right, and I made it I made it a little bit wider compared to this because I thought it was a little bit. I thought the important parts were a little bit too tight. This is hard to put it into words why it's better this way, but yeah, I wanted a little bit more depth so that you could see another set of chairs in the beyond, and then so that you could tell it's a train also, but I can't really put it into words why it's better to make it wider. I hope it's visibly visual. I hope the visual is convincing enough. Next, Sayako. By the way, this and this also, both of them can't really tell if they are going home or not. Now, this one, I guess it's sunset or sunrise, but you can't really tell if you're going home or not. But overall, the drawing is really done well. Some parts I had problem is that her shoulders look a little flat. Her what do you call these? Her her, what do you call these bones? Good morning. Well, yeah, the body kind of looks flat a little, and this is something a lot of people do, but when you have like a surface and something on top of it, a lot of people tries to make the shadows like all around the character, but maybe that would make it more flat bit than so what I did was I made the shadows a little bit more calculated and not to spread it too much, and made her sink into the couch. I also made these parts a little bit more not flat, a little bit more solid. I had the red light reflected here. So yeah, what I did was pretty much like I just retouched like a lot of details. That's pretty much what I did. I just retouched the details. Her hands were a little bony, so made it a little bit more like smoother and things like that. Yeah, this would have been better if there was a little bit more, if you could feel like a more story to it, or if you could see some, I don't know, other passengers or something like that. It would have been better, yeah. Number 5, Go Nuts. Go Nuts, this one is done really good too, but it was posted late, so I had to take 2 points off. If it wasn't posted 2 points off, it would have been on second place. Same with Soul Artist, right. Now this one, also, you can't really tell if the character is going home or not. Collarbone. I'll try to remember that. Collarbone. 2 points I want to point out. One is how the pants are folded. This part, it looks like you weren't really convinced of how you make it like fold. So that's one thing. And another thing here is you made it right side left here, but I don't think you needed to do that. You could have just copied the same thing here and made the eyes face the other way. Also, since the perspective is kind of like this, the reflection is a little bit too up, because I guess you wanted the whole face in there, so you made you had to lift it up because you wanted the whole face, but that would make the reflection a little bit not accurate. So what I did was make it like that, so that the eye is going with the perspective. Can't see the chin, but it's copied. Wait, yeah. I don't think there's that much of a problem. Maybe the hairstyle's a little bit different, but who's gonna notice that? You know. Okay, and there's the folding of the pants. There is, I think, is better than this. I think that's about it. Which the perspective here was a little off too. Here, so I kind of, yeah, settled that into a more accurate perspective. That's about it. Number 5, Lawyer. Have you been busy? I guess I've been busy, yeah. Not too busy, but not crazy busy, but like busier compared to, say, last week. Lawyer, this one also, you can't really tell if anyone is going home or not. So there are a couple of questions that comes to mind when you look at this. There is a green cat. Now, okay, the green part isn't that like it's not the green part. It's the part that the cat has two tails. So it looks like the girl is taking a photo of a cat that has two tails and is about to post it on Instagram or something. There's a cat on a train and it has two tails. And so is the guy over here. So the main thing is a creature on a train instead of a train ride going home. So anyway, I took points off for theme because of that, but you could say that's context. So there's 3 points for context also.
Two-tailed cat is myth in Japan.
The awkward thing, two-tailed cat is myth in Japan. The myth in Japan is the cat that has like I think it was like 9 tails, like 8 or 9 tails. I don't know. I'm not that fond with Japanese mythology. Yeah, the thing with this is that there isn't. Wait, what did I do here? Yeah, what I did here was if the cat is like one of the main aspects of this drawing, then maybe it would have been better if it was not too hidden. You could see the whole. You could tell that it has two tails. It's not like there's another cat there that you can't see, but you could just see the tail. That's actually a cat with two tails. The girl looks like the right leg is a little bit thicker than the left leg, so I made it more equal. The holding, the handling here looks like. Now I understand that some handling go up, like they go in a wave. Some for like taller people and shorter people. I understand it is like that, but in this drawing, it looks like it made it upwards because you didn't want to hide the character, the guy with the glasses. It looks like you didn't want to do that. It looks like it's there because you didn't want to do that. So I made them high. I made the height equal. 9 tails, 9 lions, and cat die 9 at the same time. 9 tails fox. Wait, you might be correct. Yeah, 9 tails fox, but 2 tails with cat. You decided to draw the entire H5 on paper. I hope you. I don't mind. I try to do something like that with other mangas when I was like in middle school. Ninetail is also cat also. Okay. I wonder what manga is gonna be. I have to think about it. I still have a day to think about it. So, yeah. And this one, it's so strange because there's nothing else around. It looks like this train car. It looks like this car has nothing else around it. It only has this one chair, and there's nothing around. That's what it looks like. So at least draw some other passengers or something that goes out of frame so that you could tell that there's a world outside of this. Now, is that a character from your mermaid drawing?
I messed with the perspective.
Ma'am, well, you could tell that they're going home because they're saying, "Take me home faster." So it goes with the topic, but it would have been better if you could have expressed that without making them actually directly say it. it would have been better, but since it's within topic, I can give you 4 points for topic. Now, you are more specialized with muscular men. So this female, probably mother character is also a little bit muscular. It's not wrong to have muscular mothers. It's just that if your client didn't want muscular mothers, you have to be able to draw like normal normal buffed, like is normal a good word? I mean, not buffed people. Yeah. Now, this the biggest concern I have here. The biggest concern I have here is why is this handle like adjacent to the character's face? I have no idea why this is why it's like this at all. So what I did was take it out, make it them apart. I think I said not last time, but I think 2 Weekly Art Challenges ago, the air bubbles. There's too much. I'm gonna every review I do with comic book like styles, I'm gonna review it within the philosophy of Japanese manga. There's too much space here, which is waste of space. So you have to give it a better balance. And the shape of the bubbles would express their feeling. So since this woman is a little bit what do you call it? Stressed out. She's not in her head. She's like, please take me home faster. She's like, please take me home faster. So you have to have that expression within the bubbles. Now, for this kid here, it's not like I don't want to go home. It's I don't want to go home. So you have to do that wiggly line here so that you could express how this kid's feeling also. Just one thing I want to point out. Another thing is, since that part I think should be facing downwards, so like that. 知識と文脈の評価は何を見てるかっていうのは、知識っていうのはちゃんと書いてるものを知ってるかどうか。知らないんだったらちゃんと資料を見たかどうか、資料を見てるかどうかを判断してる。でこれは2点なのは、まずテーマが電車であって、電車の椅子にはちょっと見えないというか、見えてもいいんだけど、電車がどうあるべきかっていうのがあんまり調査とかを画像検索もあんまりしてないように感じるから知識が低い。文脈も、文脈はお話とかお話があるかどうか、お話というか絵の中で、文脈が存在するかどうか。この場合は一応文脈はあるんだけど、文字でセリフで説明しちゃってるからあまり高くは評価しすぎてない。でちなみにこっちは文脈がすごく高くて、なんでかっていうと文字で説明することなく状況説明をしてるから。
Thanks for the review. I have to study math.
Review. I have to study math. Math, not algebra. Math. Are you like? Okay. Well, anyways, Prime. This is pretty much the colors are kind of good, but you have the main. a lot of people are gonna
You
watch,
should try a WAC that focuses
look
on
at this,
typography
right?
/dialogue
So
/spaces enter.
that is a pretty important thing, and it's out of frame. Now, sometimes these things are not bad being out of frame, but as for this post here, it's not really good. So what I did was like that. I made it like that. I needed to make it a little bit wider so that it won't be too awkward to make it down. I wanted to get her inside the frame, so I had to stretch it downwards. But then if I stretch it too downwards, it would reduce the movement of the train. So I made it wider also. I made the lights in the front a little bit more. It looks like there's a light beaming at like a foggy place. I think that's about it. What I did. Other than that, the train looks pretty good. It looks pretty accurate in perspective. Well, yeah, it was just the frame. I mean, if you look at this after this, it really looks like it's trimmed. I mean, it looks like I'm not being shown the whole picture. It looks like it's being trimmed. I've gone into these things late, and I should try to that for the typography, dialogues, spacing. I could maybe try maybe not weekly, but like either a monthly or
We will be distracted. XD.
a challenge that I give more time with, like, say 4-page manga or a comic. So then I could, that one maybe I could focus more on how to do framing and air bubbles. One day before deadline, will we distracted? Well, I don't know. Some people might get some people might boost their motivation. I'm gonna have to motivate you guys.
Daro-sensei coming in.
Okay.
Members.
Hi, I don't know what username. Now this one. This one's another fantasy kind of terrain. And time zone, right? And coming to kill all the WAC. Yeah, might not get too much post for that 4-page manga. Mangas are pretty hard. It's a train that is running over a forest. Now, since this looks more like the character with the blue hair, it looks like she's about to go somewhere, such as Hogwarts. I mean, she's about to go into this fancy world on a fantasy train. It doesn't look like she came home from a fantasy world on a fantasy train. But I get the idea. The biggest thing I have here is the perspective of the train and its interior. So I think I could go step by step on what you could have done. Now, I think... Okay. I had problems with the seat and how they're not... Doesn't look like they are in perspective. So what I did was, okay, the door is not in perspective also. The door, I mean, you could draw a line of the window, the wall, and then the door is like slanted.
I had a very hard time with that T.
What happened there? Right, so the door and the layer, so you could sort of like make a line, even if you're actually building this thing, like an actual train, you might want some guidelines
And
to
IT always
where
went wrong.
to place the seats, right? You try 3 times. Well, you could always try any multiple times, more than from now on. And then I place the seats on top of the guidelines with the character sitting, and then I draw on top of that. So now this might not look as if it might not look. The windows make it a little bit. The windows make it a little awkward, anyways. But the windows were off also. Now I think you could see that if the windows were one surface of a, not a cube, but like a rectangular cube, it would look like that. If you put the chairs inside the rectangular shaped thing, it would look like that. I hope you could see it. But what you have here, if I tried to make the same shape with what you did here, it would kind of look like that. So you have the window in the back and the window in the front. You connect them, and then you have the chairs. So there, I hope you could see how it's crooked. So I suggest that I suggest you draw a lot of cubes for practice. Ikasumi. This is another one where you could pretty much tell that they're going home. It's nighttime, and they're coming home from a theme park. And they're sleepy, so they're like half asleep. So you got 4 points for theme. But other than that, you gotta. It got really better though. It got really better than the last time. Say the one with the bicycle and the mermaid. It's much better than those two. But you could do better. It's just the line of the art of the girls. So maybe you could duplicate anime or manga lines on your own. This is what you could have done. The kind of line, the legs, crossed legs, the leg on top would kind of flatten a little bit since it's on the thigh. It's not, doesn't look like it's flattened, but this one it looks. This one, I don't know. It looks like it's like you could see through the legs or something. It doesn't. I guess this is one sample of a unintentional cubism. So the line art of the girls. This is just one sample how you could have done. It doesn't have to be like this, but this you just have to practice a lot. I can't really I can't really point out what you could do better because it's pretty much the whole thing. So I hope you practice a little bit more with drawing girls. But you're getting better, and you got 4 points for the theme. Mr. H. This one you used a photo. You used photo for making it more detailed, highly detailed. Can you draw a saxophone? Drawing a saxophone, I assume, is really hard. Have I ever drawn? No, I don't think I've ever drawn a saxophone. So, this one, I'm not convinced that this train. I don't. I'm not convinced that you looked at any reference for this train. And the smoke. I don't know. I think the smoke is okay going with the movement of the train like that. Unless there's wind. But if there's wind, you have to make it look like there's wind. You can't. It doesn't even look like it. There's wind. So, what I thought the wheels would be a little bit bigger like this compared to this. I mean, this.
That notices that a Detroit Become Human shirt you're wearing.
Detroit Become shirt. This is a Detroit Become Human shirt I am wearing. I wear this a lot. So yeah, I know it's hard to draw these part of trains. This is what I did here is not accurate either, but maybe even acknowledging the ratio of like the top part and the wheel part. This one is really, I don't know. It looks like you just imagined how a train might look like without looking at it in reference. Laker. Laker, these are in 3 panels, and it said it goes from right to left. Now, I'll first show what I did first, and explain why I did it like this. First, I made the panels. I made the first 2 panels straight instead of like this, like a triangle shape, because this one you can't really tell. If you read this first, are you gonna go here second or here second? You can't really tell which panel to go next if it's like in a triangle like that. Like I said last time, I'm doing these manga like, comic like things with a Japanese manga philosophy. So maybe it's easier to go from here to this panel if you make the lines, this one thicker and this one thinner. It'll be easier for the reader to go from this panel to the second panel. Now the first panel, I made the train a little bit. I made I made some area around the train because the original one, I would say this is adjacent to the panel line or the frame, adjacent to the frame, so it looks tight. It doesn't look like you can't really tell if it's stopping or if it's stopped, the train is stopped or not. It's also tight, so you don't want that tight of a drawing in if you're drawing a if it's not intentional. If you want like a tight like atmosphere, it's okay, but this one I don't think that's intentional. And the second panel, you have to it's hard to understand what's even happening because the colors of the floor and the character are darkness a little bit different, same, so you can't really tell what part is human and what part is the floor or the bag or the handle, the metal handle around. So so you have to kind of make them more in accurate perspective first. Now here, I just cleared up the lines, but I hope you could tell how it's cleared. You have to kind of understand how clothing's fold and stuff. You have to, like, it's the same with Ikasumi. You have to practice figure drawing with this. I can't really tell you what part is specifically wrong because it's mostly wrong all the way. But the train you did was, I could tell that you did some research on I don't know which actual train this is, but I'm sure there's an actual train that looks like this. It looks like you did some research. You actually did some actual research. Okay, Ray. This is drawn really good, but it looks like it's been traced from a photo, which is not a bad thing. I mean, unless you have the copyrights to it. But if you're gonna sell it or make money, if as a practice, it's okay. Even if it's tracing. One thing I was just I don't know if this is me or this might be just my opinion, but this looks a little bit more like a bus than a train. I don't know why it looks like a bus. The chairs look like a chair of a bus. So, it also doesn't really look like the character is going home. The lines are done great, so it's mostly the coloring, I guess. I assume you didn't have that much time, so what I did was what you could have done even if you didn't have. これ終わったらもう寝るし。How the Japanese fans think about this WAC event? I'm not really sure. There are not much Japanese people participating anyways. So what you could have done, even if you didn't have that much time, was maybe make the windows, outside the windows, a little bit red. Similar to this one, right? Kind of similar to this one, but you could at least tell what part is the train and what part is outside. Now the lines, maybe you could have made things in the front maybe a thicker lines. You don't really have to make it thicker lines, but make it a little bit more look like it's actually a drawing and not just traced lines. Or sometimes maybe you could make a 3D model of something and render it so that it looks like a line art, but some of those makes it look like it's really artificial. But if you do things like this, it looks like actual hand-drawn drawings. So that's one thing. Another thing you could have done. Swampy Man 2000. Now this one, this one I can't even tell if this is a train or not. I can't tell if this is a train or not. I mean, what kind of chair is this? I mean, that is like two people could sleep on this, right? And then what is this? So I don't know what this is.
There is a swamp.
It doesn't look like a train. It looks like a what do you call it? It looks like one of those like houses. that people could
Self-text.
live in. Classroom with wheels, right? So, I think what you could have done was something like this. Now, same with what Mr. H had. Your wheels were a little bit too small, and so made the wheels and the mechanic parts a little bit more obvious, and then try to go with your design. And have the seats a little bit more, maybe a two seat where two people could sit. Now, I assumed the reason I don't know. I mean, the window here is wide too. I mean, you could have done it like this, but I guess you wanted two characters in one frame or something. I don't know. So. It depends on your art style, but maybe you want a train that's a little bit more unrealistic. This is like between unrealistic and real, like not a good. It's like right in the middle of unrealistic and realistic. So either do more realistic like this or go more cartoonish if you're going with this art style. I think that's a decision you have to make. Okay, last one. Lord Farquaad. Lord Farquaad, I'm sorry if I'm not pronouncing that correctly. This, I can't tell if this is a train or not. It looks like, I don't know, it looks like some room with two artwork posted on the wall that's identical, and then there's another artwork posted on the door. That's what it looks like. But since the topic is trains, a train ride going home, I guess it's a train.
Maybe.
Inside some kind of shop. Right. Maybe he's for sale. Now, the biggest thing I wanted to point out with this, the biggest thing I wanted to point out with this was here. Okay, you have, I assume you did this with a trackpad also. I'm not gonna touch that part here. So there's our train, trees, right? You have trees, and then you have the horizon line. And then this is supposed to be like a window on the door, right? So you just drew a tree there, right in the middle of the window, when there's a horizon line there. So at least have the horizon line and then draw a tree like there, so that you could, I mean, having the tree right in the middle would make it look like it's actually a painting on the door. It looks like a trick art. Like you know those websites where they have, like, if you look at this photo closely, you could tell something's wrong, and I thought that was a window, but it was actually a painting. Well, that's what it looks like. So this is unintentional trick art. So what you could have done, well, first of all, looking at the perspective of the chair, the horizon line would be a little bit low, somewhere around there, right? And then So you can't have the horizontal line inside the window. Maybe so it could have been clouds or something. Clouds. To make it a little more look like a train, maybe have ads or maps or polls or something like that. So, I think it's hard to make these parallel lines near each other on a trackpad. I think that's really hard to do.
IT was fun, but also we kind of feel the life as artists now.
Been doing it for 10 minutes. We're gonna feel the life as ours. Yeah, constant drawing at a constant pace, I guess, gives you that feeling.
Sorry, I wasn't going to enter, but scribbled something in the last few minutes. Minimal research. IMGALD, you actually served IT, so thanks.
Yeah, minimal research. Okay, yeah. So overall, I'd say a lot of people lack research. Like, not just you. Okay, so that's about it. 15 posts. Now, I think dragons were more catchy to draw, but then trains are like trains. I understand you don't really want to draw trains. I'm doing like a seesaw thing. I make you draw something that's catchy for you, but then it's like a clickbait, right? I'm clickbaiting for you to draw things, and then I made you a clickbait this time. So next week, the topic that's due tomorrow is a girl playing a musical instrument, and so the clickbait was the girl, right? I clickbaited me with the girl, but then you had to draw a musical instrument, which sometimes if you choose if you choose a hard one to draw, it would be much harder than drawing a train. So I try to clickbait you guys into drawing something hard. Sometimes it's harder, sometimes it's more easy. But I would say I would give you more points for theme if you chose a musical instrument that is hard to draw, right? I'm gonna take points off you if you just drew a triangle. Like, ding, ding. Yeah, and a manga challenge one day. I could do that. I could like for say 3 months. Is that too much? If I gave you 3 months, would you still do it in the last minute? 2 months? 1 month? 1 month is a little bit too hasty, right? 2 months? I'll give you 2 months to draw 4 pages of manga. Otamatone. 3 months too long, okay.
Maybe 1 month.
1 month? Okay.
2 weeks.
2 weeks? 2 weeks? I'm gonna have the weekly art challenge also, so 4 pages, right? 4 pages. Okay, I'll try 1 month.
In 2 weeks.
4 pages on in 2 weeks.
Cat.
Really? Yeah, I'll try a 4-page manga challenge. Giving you.
We'll probably get the stream banned though, LMAO.
1 month, or maybe till the end of March. How's that, huh? End of March. So
1 month.
I guess there won't be any weekly art challenge that last week then. So there's, or maybe 4 weeks, right?
Thanks.
So 3 weeks of weekly art challenge, and then the last week would you could focus more on the manga, but I would give the topics prior,
3 months is way
so
too long
you
for 4
have
pages, haha.
1 month. 3 months way too long for 4 pages. I mean, right. I mean, 3 months is too long to the point where a lot of people would. It would make a lot of people wait too much.
But maybe I'm biased.
For the last minute. I'm not expecting too much postable though for 4 pages of manga. I'd say less than 10. How should we post this? How should we I mean, if it's 4 pages and 10 people, that would be 40 posts. That would be a little bit too much. So, if you could send a link to whichever thing you uploaded. I mean, if you had no other choice, you could upload all 4 pages. I think my cat just jumped in the garage. Garbage can. My cat just jumped into the garbage can. I think it can't get out, so I need to help it. So I see your post for next week. For the instrument girls, due dates tomorrow. Still got 1 day. If you didn't start, you still have time. So yeah, see you next week. Bye. Oh, it got out by itself.
Falling in a garbage cat.
Yeah, got it. Oh, it struggled a little, but